Doesn't say his name. He says an English gentleman.
Well, the most interesting thing about this story is, that the metal sphere story came to my attention because of a gentleman in England had been noticing in a lot of the pictures of claimed UFOs that they were often, you'd have the central object, and then there would be at least 3 or 4 of these metal spheres that would be surrounding it, almost as if they were scouts or guards. And it's fascinating because he could go back 30, 40 years.
My name is Patrick Jackson. I'm an IT specialist, and I've been reverse engineering what's said to be the most violent poltergeists in the world. In 2015, I finally wrote a book that technically identified small silver spheres as a root cause of this global phenomenon. The exact same spheres we are now seeing, haunting our skies. I realized that there is a network that surrounds us, a technology that's truly profound, a role that we all play in it, a disclosure that will blow your mind.
All right. Welcome back to Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher Manti is always your humble host here. I am truly, truly excited about today and the guest that we have. Mr. Patrick Jackson is the author of a book. I want to say new book. It's been out a couple of months, but it's pretty new, called The Sphere Network. And it has come along in my life at just the right time. Just the right time. If you've been listening to this show, you've known that I've seen one of these things last year driving along on the highway. So I am very, very interested in his ideas about this. And he has more than ideas. He's got experiments and photos and lots of evidence behind it. So I'm very, very excited to welcome Mr. Patrick Jackson to the Unsealed program. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for making the time for us.
My pleasure. No problem.
Thank you, man. So, okay. First of all, it's a fairly new book, and you're obviously active on X. People can find you there. And the people have got to read this thing. I really do want to encourage everyone to read it, no matter what your opinions or persuasions or whatever. I really do want to encourage that, because it is a novel approach to what the heck is going on. So how would you summarize this work, and why do you think it's important that people read it?
Well, most UAP books are a case of an event will happen, and the author will go to the location, interview people. He'll interview different people and then get a story together, kind of combine the data, and then try and cut through all the mud and find out what really happened and what went on. And that's generally the way that UAP research has been going on for a long time. But my approach is very different. I am much more of a boots on the ground and get my hands dirty kind of approach. And my original interest was poltergeists. That was my main interest, because I've always been interested in the weird paranormal stuff anyway, and just to see if I could figure it out. Just to back up a step, it's like I grew up in a kind of like a paranormal hotspot, and I basically came face to face with what looked to be like a ghost monk in the middle of a field, and I've never seen anything like it, and never seen anything like it since. And I even shone a laser on it to see if I can get a reaction out of it. It was like I put the laser on the ground, then to the body, then the face, and it reflected, but the laser beam was dimmer, a lot dimmer than it would normally be, which was kind of interesting. And then I got up and walked up to it, and it literally just dissipated in front of my eyes. And that kind of sparked my interest, because then I asked the locals down the local pub and said, I thought I just saw a monk or something across the field. And he goes, oh yeah, that's the mad monk. He haunts here. And I was like, and I've never heard of that story before, and I haven't seen it since either. It was just literally like a one-off experience. But it's always been bugging me. So, growing up, and I moved to London, and I'm pretty good at IT. I basically work in databases, a lot of development, architecture, reverse engineering, administration, stuff like that. And I kind of come to the conclusions like, well, I'm paid to do quite extensive projects at work, reverse engineering and so forth. Why don't I just try to see if I can figure this out and just have a crack at it? Really, it wasn't my intention to write a book or make a fuss about it or anything like that. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So I actually rented out a place called 30 East Drive, which is home to what's voted the most violent poltergeist in the UK. So I rented the place out for like 4 days, and I can start showing you. I'll show you the presentation. We can start working through it. So this is the book. This is the Sphere Network. So
excellent cover, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the backstory. I work in a database developer. Work in central London, Cambridge, mostly in media and accountancy firms. Core responsibility is spotting database issues before they happen, reverse engineering. One really good example was I was flown over to a country to look at the private bank. Their database kept crashing every day after 9 a.m. And so they were really upset. And it took me like about 2 or 3 hours, but what you notice is patterns. So it kept crashing at the same time. So we couldn't get any error logs out of it because it happened before it actually made any errors. So it was a real strange behavior. And what it actually turned out to be was there was a particular user that was executing a particular query that returned a data set that was so big, it overwhelmed the buffer on the server, which then crashed the server, stopped services, and the whole thing just went down. And it confused the bank for like a good 3 weeks. So we got that working, but that's the kind of thing what it is it's kind of like spotting patterns and then kind of reverse engineering behaviors and then coming up with conclusions and then testing it. So that's kind of what I do anyway for a living. So yeah, the last few years, because I wrote a first book. My first book was a book called Quantum Paranormal. That was a much more deep dive into poltergeists and the more paranormal effects of what the spheres do. It was the first book in the world to identify these small silver spheres in buildings, what I call the Type 3s. And this was all taken at 30 East Drive. But now 2022, so last few years I've been presenting clear examples of UAP series in action. About a year before the UAP hearings, I shared my working model to Senator Gillibrand, which was the diagram I'm going to show you later. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, we were going to have lots of meetings and lots of interesting chats, but all the doors went quiet and everything slammed shut. So that was that. But then, when the hearing did come about, all they were talking about really was spheres, which is kind of interesting. So as of right now, the spheres account for about 52% of all recorded UAP sightings, which is huge. And that's actually one of the key identifiers of what I'm about to explain to you.
Just an aside on that, could it actually be higher than that? Because people see lights all the time, and it's just a light. You don't know what shape it is, or you assume it's a shape of a craft or make some other type, but maybe it's just a sphere, right?
Yeah. You can tell by the formations and the mathematical formations that are forming.
For example, like if you see a triangle, people are assuming it's a triangle craft, but maybe you're just seeing 3 spheres in a triangle shape.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And we'll get into that later, actually.
Great.
But I think it's around about more like 80%, if not 85%. It's just what people report, and most of the time people don't report stuff. But the reality is that the U.S. government and the governments at a whole are in a real difficult position. It's like they don't like stuff they can't control or tax. So I think that the key is to let civilians work it out, and then the way they kind of look at it is the safest way, which is like the smart observers, the smart people will kind of work it out, while the reactive people and the reactive groups just won't believe it, and it will just be dismissed. So when people finally realize what's happening, it's like tomorrow will just be another day. You go to the store and there'll be food, right. And it'll just be another day. I mean, people do react badly when governments say things. It's like when COVID came out and you couldn't get a hot dog anywhere, you couldn't get a toilet tissue anywhere, because people just go on a crazy spending binge and just buy everything. And in today's world where markets are so interconnected, especially when it comes to oil and gas, and the fact that we get our resources from sensitive places in the world, this subject is quite a difficult one to swallow. So going back a few years, Gary Nolan identified that, or publicly stated that I identified these spheres in photographs going back decades. In fact, you can there's many black and white pictures where you can see them. It's just people sort of didn't look at them. They're looking at the main object rather than what's actually in the background. But it's always the same process. It's always the same formations, the same process. And this has been going back absolute decades. In fact, it even goes back to religious times, because there are religious depictions with V formations within them as well. So it's very interesting, and it actually, I think this stuff has been with us pretty much forever. So I'm now the author of a new book called The Sphere Network. It's reviewed to be in the top 5 UAP books in the world, marked 5 stars on Amazon, and the reviews are pretty good. I'll show them. So here we are. So we've got outstanding, UAP phenomena has been solved, a new framework, real data and research, a must read, new information, and so forth. And this is because of the approach is very different. It's a data-driven approach based on just logic. There's no woo, there's no magic, or there's nothing of that sort. It's just basically black and white relationships and logic and how it connects.
That's true. I just want to, but I've read the thing, unlike maybe a lot of these interviews who don't actually read the books they talk about. Yeah, that's true. And I'm going to write a review myself saying that, backing that up. It's true. So
yeah, to get to this point, I mean, this has been a kind of like a life journey, I suppose. I was always very interested in the paranormal growing up, and so after I saw the ghost monk thing, I got into all the British and the American paranormal shows, and I just wanted to see what they were saying, but none of it made any sense to me. None of it gelled. It didn't. There was no logic to it. There was no real analysis to what they were saying. It's basically go into a building, hear noises, run around, dig up the history of the place, and then leave the next day and not see anything. And then they'll go to another location and do the whole thing again. And that will just go on for series after series. And it's a business model that works. There's some channels out there that just are dedicated to this stuff. And it's a $1 billion a year industry. So, I contacted certain channels a few years ago, and they just weren't, although they looked at what I presented and they were like, oh yeah, you're probably right. That's really interesting, but they won't change anything because it disrupts their business model.
Right.
You see, so I just wrote a book instead and got it out there. And in the end, I got tired of it and their vague explanations and blurry ideas. And I just thought, well, if I can do this stuff at work, let me have a crack at it and see what I can find. So yeah, this is 30 East Drive. It's up north, about 4 hours from where I live. And it's actually voted the most haunted house in the UK. And it's brilliant because it's small. So everything happens in very small, in isolation. So it's very easy to start noticing the patterns and behaviors of what's occurring in there. And what you should notice is that the building structure, so you have the main house here, and then you have the structure here, and that's the important bit right here. So I'll show you the next. So when I went into 30 East Drive, I went in there as not a believer, but more of like analysis, like to just see what I could find, see if I could spot anything, see if I could see something that other people haven't. And within 15 minutes of being in the place, this event happened right here, and it's quite crazy. I'll show you it. And that is not actually a unique thing. That's actually a constant event. So that happens a lot of time, like a few times of the week. And that's what you call like it's basically like a constant action, a specific action that has a specific reason. So when you go down there and have a look, because that's like an internal door, there's nothing in there. It's actually within the house itself. There's nothing that would make those sort of noises. It's just like an empty room with a wall. And that event, that kind of noise, or that event itself, where it bangs, it's a constant. It happens again and again and again, just random. What seems to be randomly. And so we saw it, I saw it, but also other people have seen it and seen it since. So when you see these actions, it's like, well, what do you have? You have a constant action that is out of place, which seems to have a specific reason. It's not just a dead guy banging the door for no reason. It's a deliberate action. So what that tells you, or what I noticed, is that and other actions when I was in the place, is that these aren't human behaviors. They are they're mechanical behaviors. They are the behaviors of machines. It's because it starts up, it switches on, and then it shuts down again. So that can happen now, and then you'll do everything in your mind to provoke it again, and it won't happen. But then 2 days later, when you're not expecting it, it will happen again. And so what you're seeing is a process. It's not interactive. It's just a process being executed. So let me go to the next slide. So this is where it all happens, is right here. So this is what's great about the place. All the paranormal activity happens on this staircase and in the rooms next to it. And if you look, if you get your meters out and you stand about here, you get high energy moving EMF levels. So basically, you put your meter up, and you'll get like a high spike go up, and then it will go down again. And also, when you walk under that area, you feel dizzy. So it's like something weird is affecting you as you walk underneath it. So it's like it seems to be some sort of high energy source that's there when you come and go. And that was strange when I saw that, because I didn't actually know what it was at the time. But this is common. People are detecting this in the same spot all the time, every night, literally. Now, if you go in there and turn all the electric off, it's still there. If you go 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not there. But it starts as the evening draws on, it starts to fire up. You start seeing all these electrical signals everywhere. So it goes to the next.
You said EMF, electromagnetic frequency.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is another example. So this is what we're seeing in the building. So this was taken on that set of stairs. This is a full spectrum camera. And what you're seeing is a vertical black mass that moves in a very digital way without resistance or weight. And it moves in a very set speed, like it moves like this. So it doesn't speed up or slow down. It's very, very specific digitally. And this is what people see all the time. It comes down the stairs, up the stairs, it whizzes by. So this is one of the weird anomalies you see in the building. Go to the next one.
And this is the type of thing people see it all over the world.
Yeah, they're what we call black masses, and they're commonly seen in attics and basements. Now this is the same place again. This is actually just around the corner. This is in the hallway, and you can again. This has been filtered so you can see it a bit clearer. But you see like a black line, a black mass, which is here. This is the long black mass, and then right here, where the arrow is, you see something circular. Right there. Right. So you keep that in mind. And if you look at this one, and this is another example. So this is when I had my eureka moment, because I was studying all the videos and images for about 6 months, and I couldn't quite make the connection to see what was going on. Nothing would make sense. And then I saw this. And what this turned out to be was a small silver sphere about the size of a baseball hovering off the ground inside the building. So this kind of makes sense. Once I saw this, it was all like a eureka moment, because you're dealing with a drone. It's basically a small drone. And you have to ask yourself, okay, this starts to make sense now. So let me show you some more. Here's more pictures of it. So as you can see, it flew in from the lounge towards the door, and you can see this trail behind it. It then stopped dead, and it then moved to the left, and then came back again and had a look.
Is this near that door that we heard the banging on?
Yeah. This here are the same objects from 1903. So people are seeing these balls, silver spheres. Sometimes they're glowing, look like orbs, and they fly through solid objects such as walls and doors and so forth. The actual terminology is called quantum tunneling. The same thing was seen during World War II by the RAF and US Air Force, where these spheres were called Foo Fighters back then. They would surround the craft, and some would enter the craft and fly around inside. And the US and the British thought they were Nazi weapons, and the Nazis thought that they were Allied weapons.
Right.
But it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
And so these are the small guys, the baseball ones.
Yeah, the small ones.
Is this what is? I don't want to spoil something that you're going to say later, but is this an explanation for ball lightning?
Yes. Yeah. It's because what they do, they have a field-based propulsion system that is high energy. So what it does, it energizes the gas molecules in the surrounding air around the surface of the shell. As a result, it glows. It's the same mechanism as natural lightning uses to create light during electric storms.
So we gave it that name because it kind of looks like lightning and it's shaped like a ball, and so that's
right.
We called it.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
right.
But to this day, you'll get, well, it's really anomalous. We really don't know what it is. We can't really explain it. We don't know where it comes from or where it goes. But you saw ball lightning. Congratulations. But you're saying really it's one of these. Yeah,
and the most obvious signature that it is that ball lightning hangs around for quite a while, while lightning just flashes and goes away.
Yeah,
right. It's because everything in nature operates in a state of flux. Energy levels go, they drop, and then they boil away. Well, what you're seeing with ball lightning, or what they call ball lightning, is a constant ball of light.
Yeah, it hangs out.
Which means because constant energy levels don't really exist in nature, the only thing that can replicate that is through an artificial power source.
Excellent.
So as you can see here, this one here was taken in a field, and it's just hovering just off the ground.
Yeah.
This one here was taken in a British field, just hovering off the ground. This one here was taken in 30 East Drive, just hovering off the ground. And these are the ones, well, that's a small image. These are all the historical ones, what people are seeing throughout the time. And so that's what it is. It's the same object.
Sure looks like it, man.
So then you have to ask yourself, so why are these small spheres operating in buildings? What would be the point of that? And why would they perform physical actions? And why are people getting physically affected? Because you probably watched a lot of these ghost shows where people faint and feel sick and nauseous, and they blame evil spirits and so forth. Well, so the truth is, regardless of how advanced the drone is, they use the three main functions to operate. And one, it needs to send and receive signals. Two, it needs a network. and 3, it needs AI. So AI is the key to repetitive actions, as the door banging itself. So as I say, it's performing a process. Something happens, it performs a process, and then it shuts down again. So this is why poltergeist activity has kind of been noticed. So they all have the same behavior patterns around the world. They bang doors, throwing objects, strange electrical effects, catching fire on things, and that's because it's the same AI. It's the same AI logic. The same rules have been applied to all of them around the world. It's the same library of effects been applied to all of them around the world. So the question is, if these are drones operating in buildings, has anyone picked up the signals from them? And the answer is yes. So right here. So I managed to grab a digital sample of these signals that have been transmitted, and it appears to be an 18-bit code. And you see here, this here is the synchronization packet right here, or the synchronization bit, and this one here is the synchronization bit, and then this part here is the actual data packet. And this is also recorded on tape as well. So if I grab those links, I can show you it.
Okay, here we go.
Now this has been slowed down a bit so you can hear it, but you can definitely hear them. I'm pretty want to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a pattern.
Mm-hmm. In the other video, it's much clearer. It's like on normal speed. You can really hear that, like.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Let me try the other one again.
Yeah, if you just run that at normal speed, you're. Here we go. That's better. Yeah. See.
It's like music.
Come on, bang the door. Bang the door. Come on.
There you go. Stops.
Wow. So moving people away with these various types of distractions, as you're saying, or because it would disrupt the signal, or because it would harm the people?
Well, I can show you that in a second.
Right.
So we'll go through that. So this is the next slide. So what you really have, you have these small drones that are operating in buildings. And what they appear to be doing, they're like transponders. They basically sit in the building or fly around the building, and no one's really aware they're there. But they act like transponders. So most of the time they're shut down. But when they come online, they start sending and receiving signals. And when those signals are being transmitted, that's when you have gamma radiation and microwave radiation. So like all drones, as I said, they need a network. So I went looking for a network. So what I did was and in my new book, I really pin it down to where it's all relaying. But this one is a bit more simple just for this. But what I noticed was that all these haunted locations are basically replicate our own point-to-point microwave-based relay systems. So what it is similar distance apart, and it operates around topology. So it's basically a on-demand near-to-ground based data network. So these spheres will come online when they need to and start relaying data, relaying it across the country, and then it shuts down again.
Literally across the countryside, like the near to the Earth itself. Yeah. I just want to interject something real quick, if I can, or kind of not diverge too much. But the point is, we're talking about what has always been understood by humans as poltergeist, like you're saying, or haunting activity, which has always been basically been chalked up to some kind of spirit, right? Because we didn't know how else to put it, basically, right? How else do you explain such things? And in my line of work, I mean, I have been called into homes saying this is happening. I have a haunted situation, right? Or I have something weird has been happening in my house. I need you to come take care of this as a Christian, like an exorcist, basically. Like, you need to come deal with this. So I have, but when I get there, I don't really see anything out of the ordinary. I pray over it. I do what I've been trained to do and what I think I should do, and help the people, try to calm them. But it's what you're saying, and not only saying, this is what I want to drive home to folks who are watching this now, is you're not just saying things, you're showing things. You tested things repeatedly. You've taken different types of measurements. You're showing in different ways. Photos, data, you're listening, you're hearing signals, all these different types of ways to show. You don't just have a theory, you're showing why you believe X, Y, and Z. And that's really important, number one. And number two, what you're doing is you're upsetting the apple cart, okay, of not only the kind of the Christian or religious worldview of these are demonic spirits, but also of the spiritists or what have you, the haunted house. These are just dead people who can't get peace and want to go home to the afterlife, or they were murdered and there's some kind of violent stone memory or whatever, right? You're upsetting all of that. And like you mentioned before or earlier, this is a billion-dollar industry that works. So no one wants to get that upset, number one. But this is a big deal. Again, from my point of view, from a Christian point of view, like, it's possible that not maybe every case, but a lot of times, potentially now we're talking about what we think is a spiritual or, demonic problem isn't. It's actually a technological problem with another set of rules and explanations and, who's behind it all.
Correct.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Yeah. So I just want to say, like, I'm willing to go there with you. Like, I'm willing to be upset because it's true. I'm after the truth. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. And the people who are with me in my audience, I want to, bring you along and say, listen, this is possible. Let's just call Patrick here and see what he has and see the evidence that he's presenting and see where it goes. And
also, just to mention, 30 East Drive has had priests there throughout the years and never gets rid of it.
Well, honestly, as an from an exorcism or a Christian point of view, if it is a spiritual problem and you have an exorcism, they don't come back. I mean, like, if that's it, it's over. There's not going to be a revisiting or, oh darn, that didn't work 10 times later, right? It shouldn't ever come back. But being that it is, we got to look for another explanation. Anyway, yes, very good point.
And also, just to mention, in the UK, there is 1,800 people who die every day. And yet, from what I can tell, paranormal activity does not increase or decrease.
Right.
The same buildings are active, the same amount, the same locations. It's not like I hear, 10 other buildings have become active this week.
Right. More people are dying than in the past. You would think there'd be more hauntings or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So, this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So going back to the door banging, you've got to say, okay, well, what's going on there? All right. So if you look at the measurements, as I said, on the stairway, and you're picking up a high energy source, which is moving around, and what comes and goes, that is right here. This is a map of the building. And right here on the ground floor, at the top base of the stairs, is where you're getting the emissions, this high energy emissions. Right here is where the coal shed door was banging. Okay. Now, if this thing is producing gamma radiation and microwave radiation, what it's doing is moving you to the most safest part of the building, the most shielded part of the building before it can transmit. So what it does, it bangs the coal shed door. Everybody in the building goes running down to see what's going on here, and then it can transmit. And as a result, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 walls to absorb the radiation.
I see. So it's trying to get you to look into that noise to get away from where it actually is.
Yeah, it's clearing the space. It's attracting you to areas, or it either tries to clear you out the space directly, or it'll try and it'll make a noise to attract you to it.
Right. And I've seen some more violent examples too.
Oh yeah,
some videos of being more direct. Yeah.
It's because it's down to. I mean, I was in 30 East Drive one the first night as well, and there were marbles ricocheting off the walls, and going by my face like this. And again, it's because of the urgency of the transmission. If it wants to clear the space quickly, then it uses direct actions. If it can, it will give you indirect actions, which is what that is. So it's an AI-based, as I say, this is the evidence of artificial intelligence, because it's measuring the distance, location, where you are, and say, go down there, move now. And the thing is, I didn't move. So this was banging and I didn't move. Everybody else was raining down there, and I was the last one to come. And within, I think it was like 2 days later, my brain started swelling in my head. I got like this weird brain swelling going on in my skull, and I couldn't see anything. And what that actually comes down to is effects of gamma radiation.
So you were too close.
Also, I think this is also connected to spontaneous human combustion as well. So if you're standing too close to this, or you don't take notice of the actions, and this thing has to relay, then you're talking high energy gamma radiation or microwave radiation, and basically you just get popped.
That's it. Folks, he touches on a lot of stuff in this. Okay, the spontaneous human combustion, ball lightning, Hitchhiker Effect. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Oh yeah,
all this weird stuff, man, and it can all be related to these little guys.
So yeah, this is another example. This is taken off a video off YouTube of a group of guys that went into a building and had poltergeist effects going on around them. And look what they spotted on the attic. A small silver sphere. Yeah, that's what that is.
Look at that. And are they choosing? I'm sure I know you talk about it in the book. are they choosing structures basically not abandoned, but with the least possible interference? That's why they're.
So what I can tell, they use anything that can shield the emissions, and also it depends where the network needs to go. So like just like our own cellular network, like sometimes you'll have houses with a cell tower next to them. So it depends on where the network is and where the network has to go. But most of the time, I think that they will use anything from underneath tunnels to caves to holes in the ground. But when it routes through urban areas, they choose buildings. And that's why these hauntings, like 30 East Drive has been active for 40, 50 years. You see, and it's because it's a like a hard node. It's locked deep in the network. It can't move. And that's what it is. Yeah.
Got it.
That's what it is. And that's why some hauntings don't go away and some do. It's because some part of the networks are more dynamic. They can move, but other parts are more rigid, depending on where they are. And what I noticed was that depending on the building type, will specify where they're going to transmit from inside the building. So like in modern houses or like 2-story brick houses, they operate generally up on the top floor, either in the attic or the top floor. In America, you have these like single floor wooden houses, and you have a basement. Well, guess what? They operate in the basement. So there was a story. I think it was Zach Bagan. He did a documentary called Demon House, which is exactly that kind of building. And they took I think it was an electrical engineer to have a look at it. And he went into the basement and he said, "Oh yeah, there's a moving high energy source here. I don't know what it is, And I think it was like the next day he was in hospital with multiple organ failure. It's because this thing's relaying signals and it's relaying, these emissions, and it's highly dangerous. Unfortunately, the production company just blamed demons and moved to the next one and do the whole thing again.
No.
But the problem is that that guy has probably now got issues for life. And that's the problem that we're now facing. So the interesting thing is that there's a scientist, Jim Segala. He was conducting tests as well, completely separate from me, and he was putting sensors inside these buildings. And this is what he picked up.
He was on the Skinwalker Ranch the first season, correct?
I think so, yeah. Here he is here. So in 30 East Drive, we picked up gamma radiation and microwave bursts. And also we picked up 1.6 gigahertz, 1.72. Exactly the same things are picking up at Skinwalker. And this is exactly what Jim also picked up. I don't know about the gigahertz, but what you're picking up is microwave and gamma ray bursts.
So when they're communicating, is that the bandwidth the band they're using?
It sounds to be some sort of carrier wave of some sort. So when you look at the physical effects of gamma radiation, it's nausea and vomiting, fatigue, tiredness, headaches, dizziness, fainting, skin redness, decreased appetite, weakness or lethargy, cognitive impairment, all of which is what people get inside haunted houses. In fact, the neighbor of 30 East Drive, she gets migraines all the time. And I said to her, do they go when you leave the house and go somewhere else? Oh, yes, they vanish. And then she goes back in the house again and gets migraines just because it's the signals, the microwaves, giving her headaches.
Yeah, that makes too much sense. Yeah.
And yeah, this is what I had when I was in the place. I had brain swelling, I had vision issues, cognitive issues. That lasted for about 6 months. It was really bad. My thought process had changed. I'm normally quite a fluid thinker and fast and stuff, but I was actually really brittle, and I was actually really short-tempered and aggressive. And over the years, other people reported the same thing, including fainting, nausea, difficult thinking. And it's all down to radiation exposure.
And this is because you were stubborn and wouldn't run to the
Didn't
door.
move, yeah.
No.
So what it is that these small these type 3 spheres, as I call them, about the size of a baseball. They create a dynamic microwave-based data network that can move to its needs, so it's dynamic. So that's why some buildings will suddenly become active overnight and then stop and never again, while other buildings are active all the time and never sent for decades. So it depends on how rigid the network is in particular areas. So the building itself, how it models out is the building itself absorbs the electronic signatures these things are producing. So from the sky, this network, because it also burst relays as well, it only comes online when it needs to. Anything that's coming into our sky, high up in the sky, when it looks down, it cannot detect the network. Understand? So it blends in with background radiation. Mm-hmm. So the very stealthy communication network that uses burst relaying and then shuts down again. So what that means is it's a very stealthy AI-based data network, which is all over the UK, all over America, all over the world. And this is also why, like, the mainstream paranormal researchers have got absolutely nowhere in 80 years because they think it's dead people, and it's not. You see, so this is you can kind of imagine the frustration I get from their communities.
Right, you could.
Yeah.
Although, and maybe I'm sure you'll perhaps touch on this. You do mention there is a point where that with the EVP process and stuff that those folks tend to use, you actually did get communication.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It told you to what was it like? Go away or stay away?
Yeah, go away. Yeah. So what it does is in EVPs, what it really is the spheres can sample ambient noises or sounds and then reconstruct them to make sentences. So the first sentence might be from a daytime TV show, like "you must leave," but the three, so it blends it all together. But when you actually really look at it, record a really good one, and you really look at it, you'll see how it's all blended together. Because it has errors in it. It has errors. It has processing errors. It has pops and clicks and all sorts of things.